All right, well, nice to meet you, Chyral. I'm Kevin.
Nice to meet you too. Hi.
Hey. So, you are a DragonRealms player, and you're relatively new to the game, I hear.
Yes, I am. I started back in 2019.
Okay.
So I'm relatively new compared to everybody else I've met so far.
Well, how did you find out about this?
So my boyfriend actually got me into playing. He was playing one day because he got back into it after a while, and he's an old player from about 20 years ago, and I saw him playing, and I had an idea of what was going on, and I was like, wait a second, is that a mud? And he's like, yeah, this is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, because back in middle school, high school, I played a different mud, and so it made me a little nostalgic. So I ended up playing that with him and give me another thing to kind of connect with him on and get back into roleplay. And
what's the other mud, if I may ask?
The what?
What's the other mud, if I can ask? Oh, the other mud.
Mud, yes,
yeah.
Mud.
What was the other one?
Oh, it was Eternal Night too, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, right. It's been quite a while, but that one's a vampires versus werewolves type game.
Is it still going, or?
I haven't checked on it in a long time, so I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Well, where are you from?
I'm from the middle of Kansas.
Okay, not too far for you then.
Yeah, well.
No, I mean, Rome.
Yeah, but yeah, no, not terribly far compared to some of the people who have flown out from the coast. So,
Well, how do you like St. Louis so far?
It's pretty all right. I mean, this is my second convention, so I was here last year, and all the people here are just wonderful.
Yeah, everyone's super friendly and chill. It's been great.
Yeah.
Well, do you plan on doing anything else in St. Louis while you're here?
Not really. I don't have a whole lot of. I'm not much of a out and about type person. I'm more of a homebody, and so just basically being around here and then up to the rooms, more or less of kind of.
I think that's a common feeling among the mud players. A little bit more homebodies.
Yeah, we all have some common personality traits. I would think, but yeah, between that and just being out of state, out of country for some people, they're just not knowing enough about what's around and everything to be really comfortable with going out.
Oh, that's
with everything else that's going on.
Oh my God, there's a lot of fun stuff in St. Louis.
Yeah, we travel here for the people in the room to meet and.
1 second, we got a little bit of an announcement happening. Oh, the Dropman's Challenge?
Yes, that is a Dropman's.
Are you doing that?
I am not.
Okay.
No. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I like running the games and whatnot, but I'm not as good as some of the other players that have been playing for a long time and running those particular things for years on end.
So what level are you then, since you, well, quote unquote, just started?
So my character is not very high level comparatively to others. She's only about 75 circle, and the top is 200. So I'm not even halfway. But my character more or less focuses on a lot of the RP side of stuff rather than combat.
Well, definitely going to ask you about that.
So my character, she spends most of her time in the forge. She's an armor smith.
Okay.
Mainly. So
what's your character's background or story?
So I don't really have a whole lot of, I guess, background on my character really kind of written out.
The mic fell.
Huh? Oh. Cool. All right. So my character, I don't really have a big backstory for my character. I've kind of been developing her as I go. But the first year I was playing, they have this event every Halloween called Hallow's Eve. It's like a month-long event, and they only have specific materials there. And this was the year that the year after, I believe, that they introduced this material. It's called coralite, and my character became obsessed with it. Coralite is a pink metal, and it's a fairly good metal for armor. But her main thing was pink, and so she's over the years become the pink paladin.
The pink paladin?
Yes.
Why an armor smith?
So my paladin, she's more of a pacifist versus being a combat focused paladin. So for her, being an armor smith helps support others' combat and whatever else events going on by making the armor for others to wear so they're safe in their combat.
What do you think of the text-based gameplay?
I love it. I've been playing it for a handful of years now, and of all the games I've played since growing up, and this game in particular is the one that stuck with me over multiple years. I usually, when I game, like even like new games like Cyberpunk 2077, I've played a little bit of that, but it gets boring, I guess, after a while. Not as engrossing, I guess, because you don't have the other people. A lot of this is community that kind of helps keep me in the game, and then coming and meeting all these people. But it's a little nostalgia, but all these games I play for a few months and then I switch to a different game, or I just is not as interested. But DragonRealms is one of those games that I've played almost every night for the past 4-ish years.
So what is it about it that keeps bringing you back?
The role play, the people, making a goal for myself, and trying to continually hit that goal. One of my goals is to get to the top of forging skill. So I want to be able to cap my forging skill at 1750, but right now it's about 770-ish.
Okay.
So I'm quite a far way off, but that's kind of what makes it fun, though. You still have that really long goal, and once I hit that goal, then I'm sure by the time I hit that, I'll pick up other things that I'm interested in, and I'll have other goals that I'll be chasing as well.
Okay. What kind of role playing do you like to do? You say that's a big part of it for you.
So I have an in-game husband where we're bonded, and we do a lot of. He does a lot of the hunting, and so I make his armor and I repair his armor, and we kind of go back and forth on that. And but I'm also part of the Order of the Dragon Shield, and a handful of things that I've done over the years is started getting involved in running events. So I've ran an event on tea making, coffee making, because there's a few things that players can actually craft that's edible or drinkable, and tea and coffee just happen to be one of the very few things.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've also done card collecting events to where people, they collect, there's cards that you have that are go into collections, and you turn those in and you get money for it and whatnot. But I turned it into a kind of like going to your local card shop and opening up packages of cards, and doing like a little trading situation.
So the cards, like, is this an in-game mechanic, or is this?
Yeah, so the cards are an in-game mechanic, and There's some characters that do the card collecting more than others. They a lot of people just discard them on the ground because they just don't care. A lot of monsters drop them, and so they're just kind of floating around, or people just have sacks full of them and don't know what to do with them. So I reached out to a few people and said, "Hey, if you have anything floating around, let me have them, and then I'll collect them and put them in packages for my event." And so I did that, and we have envelopes, and then I stashed them, put as many cards as I could in an envelope, and then I had that envelope gift wrapped, so people couldn't actually see where the cards that were inside of it, so I couldn't just look and say okay, and then just kind of pass over them and whatever. So it was more of a forced interaction in the game, that they had to actually take the packages and open them and then look through and then actually talk with people to trade cards to get complete sets.
Now you mentioned tea and coffee. So do edible items like this, do they give stat boosts or anything like that?
Not really, no, they don't. They're just more of a RP kind of mechanic. There's lots of food and drinks around the game, but aside from getting a custom food or drink item made at a big event, there's really nothing that's like player really made. And so tea and coffee. So with tea, you can forage for tea leaves. And so you're literally collecting the tea leaves off the ground and finding them, and then you dry them. And then after they're dried, then you mix them with water and over a stove, and eventually, after a little bit of stirring and careful watching, it turns into a tea. There's also a few other ingredients you can add in there, to like a blueberry tea or a couple of different other flavors of teas. But that's right now in the game. That's just a little bit of what people can eat or drink, and those are really the only ones that you can actually create from scratch.
Okay, so it's just basically for role play, atmosphere, things like that.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to answer this, but have you had any experience with like the erotic role play aspects?
Not really. I have no problem getting into it. I just haven't, I guess, had the opportunity.
Okay. Any thoughts on spirit beasts?
Are you talking about the Ephremon?
Yeah, the quote like the Pokemon kind of.
Oh yeah. So originally when they came out, I was collecting as many of those as I could, because it was just a fun get out and about and hunt these things down in their locations, and getting to places that you've never been to, and just seeing more of the lands. And but
I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. That's a gemstone thing.
Okay. Well, we do have
familiars, right?
Well, we actually do have the Pokemon creatures in DragonRealms now. That's actually one of the newer things as of like last year and a half ago, around there. But they actually pulled that mechanic from Gemstone side. But we do actually have some of those, and we don't have the full mechanic yet, so we don't have the fighting or anything else like that.
Like pets kind of. No?
Yeah. So we just have the collecting the spirit Pokemon, and you can kind of show them off for like a brief period of time, and then they kind of dissipate, and you have to like call them back up to reappear and whatnot. And it's a little bit of hassle for me anyway, but I'm sure other people have their other opinions on that particular system.
Do you do player versus player at all?
Do what?
Do you do player versus player at all?
I do not. I don't do PvP. There's some guys that host a really good panel on PvP. They host a panel earlier, and they have another one tomorrow. But I don't do a whole lot of PvP because it's hard to keep up on. Because there's a lot of these guys that have been doing this for a long time, and even the people that are just very more skewed toward PvP. There was a newer player up on the panel earlier today, so you don't have to be a long-time player to get into PvP, but they just have so much of the mechanics they just kind of understand and are able to react quickly and know what to do in what situation. And I just don't have that quick of a thought process, I guess, to be able to process all that as I'm reading it on screen and know what to type in response to actually make everything work right and go my way. So I don't really do a whole lot of PvP. I just kind of sit back and watch and just kind of stay in the forge to support the people that do PvP.
Okay. Now, in the Dragon Realms world, there's some issues with magic right now, from my understanding.
Yes, there is a wild magic event going on. And originally, when it first came out, there was a lot more mishaps, I guess, if you will. People were getting killed by backlash and other mechanics. So there was a lot of deaths just going on left and right, and it was crazy. And now it's settled down quite a bit, but still is a event going on in the game. So there's research projects that you can do, and Wild Magic is a new research project because of this event. And if you have extra spell slots that you can learn like scrolls in, then those actually get wiped out once you've done this research project, and they get overwritten by new spells that are just like picked at random. So you could be like an empath and end up getting necromancer spells out of nowhere. But each time you do like this research project, and there's like a span of time that you can do between research projects. So it's variable, but each time you do that, you get a new set of random spells. And so it's just really interesting with some of the stuff that you can get from that.
There's also 5 people in space jail?
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah, there's 5 people. I think a few of them are still here, but yeah, they got kidnapped, and I was completely unaware of that because I spend most of my time in the forge. So a lot of it, some of that I don't really stay on top of, but because of my order I'm in, I kind of stay a little bit informed on kind of the bits and pieces that I hear. So we're all just kind of waiting and seeing what happens once they get released from jail and how long they're gonna be in jail and what they're gonna say once they come back. Because we've never really had this happen before. So with magic going crazy and then them just getting kidnapped out of nowhere, it's really interesting.
Any predictions on how this is all going to turn out?
I don't. I haven't been playing very long in comparison, so I don't have a whole lot of the lore memorized like the other guys do. So I don't have those bits and pieces. Oh, it might be this, or oh, it might be that. So I'm just kind of going into a lot of this blind and just kind of playing things as they come.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on scripting?
So I do have scripts that I run. A lot of them are helper scripts. So I use the Lich script engine, which a lot of people use, and I use it a lot to go from place to place. So you tell it where you want to go, and then it'll path you there versus having to type in all the directions and memorize the routes and everything else. So it helps a lot in that aspect. So especially when you're doing like role playing, if you need to get somewhere real fast to get in on your role play, you can go from place to place really quick. And I also have a few other scripts that help with my forging, and I have another one that I wrote that it's when I type in info to get all my character statistics, depending on what I'm doing, those statistics might just get buried by all the scroll because of all the stuff going on in the room. So sometimes it's really difficult to actually see what you're trying to do when you type a command in. So what I did was I have a script that parses all of that data and displays it on my title bar, so I can say, okay, this is how many favors I have. This is how burdened, how much burden I have, how much strength I have, and all my other just physical stats that I have trained up, so I know what they are just at a glance. So I don't have to worry about missing that window and everything that I want to look at straight at the top.
Well, you said you were married in the game, and do you want to talk about the wedding? What was that like? What kind of experience?
So the wedding wasn't too terribly elaborate. It was. We did have a handful of people we invited, and a handful of people that came. So one of the members in our order was able to marry us, and so it was kind of not quite order centric, but I had a lot of other people that came as well. Had a friend that took me gown shopping, and so we found a wedding gown, and there's rings that you can get too in the game now that will when you toggle them, they will add the last name as a hyphen to your current last name, or will just change your last name altogether to the new last name. So it's really easy to kind of add to take their last name. We had, it was a little tense that we had, and I'm the pink paladin, and then my in-game husband, he is his color is teal. He doesn't really identify as the teal paladin, but his color palette's very tealy. So for our wedding, one of the fun things I did was I went and got some blue paper and some green paper because I didn't have a teal paper, and I got an origami primer, and I learned how I did I made origami cranes, and I just filled the house with those, and just as a little sweet gesture to him. It was a lot of fun.
So you have a house then?
Yes, we do have a house. He has a house, and I've taken quite a bit of it over. A lot of his furniture just covered in all my my gowns and my other clothes that he likes to buy me on occasions. Okay. We also have an armor stand and a weapon stand, and we keep those stocked pretty well too. And I make most of his armor for him.
So what do you think of the monetization of the game, the commercial product of how they're making money off of it?
So really any game you play these days has a monetization factor to it, whether it's pay to play, pay to win, what have you. But the way they do this, my account right now, it's like $40 a month, and that's like the most I've spent on any game per month. Even like with World of Warcraft, you're not in it for that much. But it goes towards supporting the game and everything else that goes on, and kind of helping just keep everything together. And so it's more of a long-term thing for me. And then the events, the microtransaction events that they have, there's some things that are nice to have in those. I don't always spend money in them, but when I have some money and I find something that I really like, I don't really have issues spending money, because the people that I'm not one that can go in and design an item like they can, and all the just really cool text and the stuff that it does. I know a few people that can do really cool descriptions of things, and so it takes a lot to produce all these items and all the descriptions and everything, and then I just really kind of respect that kind of thing.
Okay. So you can answer this one of two ways, or both ways if you want. The future of the game, both in terms of the game as a commercial product, but also the future of the game world. Where do you see this going, and for the future, both in terms of the game and the game itself and the world?
So Are you asking like the financial side, the how it's the long-term sustainability of the product, or like the okay?
Yeah, both.
Well, I mean, as far as the long-term sustainability of the game, I think that's where they're starting to turn to a lot more microtransactions type things for us current players, and they're also taking a lot of suggestions from us and putting those into the game so we stay in the game. One of the harder things to do in this day and age is get anybody into playing a text-based game. So that's excuse me. I think that's why they are trying to lean more toward catering to the player base they have versus try to do a lot of advertising or anything else really to pull in more. And so a lot of new players like I was is just more of a friend of a friend or a boyfriend that got you into playing, or someone that's already currently playing that pulled you in, and so.
Any wild stories from Dragon Realms?
I don't participate in a lot of the events, other than some of them that. So there was once one of my T classes I was doing. I was running late for. I was stuck on one of the other continents, waiting on the ferry, and then having to wait on another ferry, and then it was a whole lot of just different transportation things I had to wait for to all line up to get there. And I was running almost up to the minute on needing to be there, and so everybody knew I wasn't going to be there on time. I was going to be pretty late if I showed up. So one of the other characters, depending on your athletics and everything, you can move pretty fast and move through quite a few things. And so somehow she managed to fly all the way across the map just by running everything and drag me all the way across a couple continents in no time flat. I couldn't even read the scroll fast enough on my computer to see where I was actually at until we showed up there at my event, and I was just like, what just happened? There's another time that one of my other characters, I got lost, and I had it was like basically a maze of a sewer system, and I couldn't find my way out. I was basically dead at that point, and so after you die, you have a period of time before you like die and have to resurrect somewhere else. And so I was trying to get help for some people to come help resurrect me before that happened. And so one of the gals who's no longer with us, she led like an hour and a half long expedition in real life just to find my character in this sewer to get me, to heal me so they can pull me to safety.
In real life?
Yeah, in real life it took that long to find me and get everything taken care of. It was really cool, and there was a few people that were involved, and it was a lot of fun.
Why couldn't you find your way back?
Because it's literally a maze. Like, I was trying, and then once I got killed, the issue is once I got killed is that you can't move because you're just a corpse and a spirit kind of floating. And so I couldn't get out of there because I was dead. So I had to basically, off the little description I had of the room, I had to just kind of say, hey, this is what the room says. And they're like, we'll do our best. So it took them, like I said, it took them an hour and a half in real life just to come find me and pull me out of there and get me healed and get me back on my feet. So that was just really impressive. And these are people that I haven't ever met before in game. And so I just reached out, and someone said, "We'll be right there." And
well, they're not right there.
Well, yeah, they did. They did show up eventually, and I was very impressed because I was like down to like 1%, and they found me and they got me back up, and it was.
So what would have happened if they couldn't find you?
So if they couldn't find me, I would have just departed. And by departing, that you lose that you use favors with your god, basically. So you build up favors, and depending on how many you have, it kind of guarantees to some extent that you retain some of the knowledge that you've gained. Because if you have to do a full depart and you've done a lot of things, like a lot of skilling, and you have a lot of XP that still is needing to drain, then you lose all that, and you have to do all that all over again to get all that experience back. So it's better to have someone come find you and resurrect you, so you don't lose all your experience that you've spent maybe the last couple hours trying to get. So,
well, I know you said this is only your second SimuCon.
Yes.
But any wild stories from last year or this year?
Last year I kind of spent more of my time going to bed early because I work long hours during the day, so my body's kind of programmed to go to bed early. But there is a lot of alcohol here, and it's still kind of early in the week, so the stories really haven't quite accumulated at this point yet. But Wednesday night, I did drink quite a bit myself, and I spent all day yesterday in my room just indisposed because I just could not get out of bed, and I couldn't keep anything down. I was rough.
Feeling the pain of the decision?
Yes, I was. Yes, and I've sworn off alcohol the rest of the trip because of it. So I don't want to miss more socializing because I couldn't regulate how much I drank. So,
well, we are entering the optional politics section. Do you want to talk about your political views or not? We can up to you.
I'm not really a political person, so I'll just stay out of that bit.
Well, let's do light items then.
Okay.
Well, you talked about other mods you played. Were there any others you wanted to bring up, or discuss your experience with your mod when you were? I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but when you were younger.
Yes. So Eternal Night, I believe it was. Yeah, Ian 2. So Eternal Night 2, it was a werewolf versus vampires type of game. So it was different than this one, of course, but I had a friend of mine that I was going to school with that got into the game, and he pulled me into that, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And then we met this guy online, and he pulled us into helping him. He was working on his own mud, or trying to at least anyway. It ended up not going anywhere, so I couldn't tell you the name of it. But I helped with room design and mapping for some of the areas.
Oh.
Which I actually, one of the fun things about that is because I was doing that for him, I actually was able to use that as part of one of my final projects for high school. So that was a lot of fun.
You used your work on the mud?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So we, it was a book assignment. So we picked a book out of the pile, and we had to read the book and then create like a diorama or something that resembles stuff from the book. And so my book ended up being Dante's Inferno, and Dante's Inferno goes through the levels of hell. And so what I did was I designed kind of an area in that mud to resemble those different areas. And so as I was doing my presentation, I was kind of able to explain what I did and how I did everything, and that it was an actual like playable area that you could run around in. And the teacher was just really impressed because I don't think they've ever had someone just build a part of the thing in an actual game that you can play.
That is awesome. Did your teacher or classmates end up playing this?
I don't think so. No, it was more of a presentation than anything. So no one actually played it, but they were all really impressed that it was. I did something on that large of a scale.
Do you play other video games?
Rarely. I do play some other. So right now I'm in the middle of playing Factorio on my Switch. Inventory management and like building things. And but it's easy to pass time just playing those games because you don't have to do a whole lot of reading. So it's a little less intensive than playing this game, but it's not as satisfying, I guess. It satisfies a separate part of my brain than this does, because this I don't on that game I don't have all of this, all the people to interact with, and all the crazy stories and personalities, and it's just really cool because out of all the Discord servers I'm in on all my personal stuff, about 80-90% of those are DR related. So it's just I was never expecting that to happen once I joined the game. That most of most of my social life would consist of people that play this game.
Well, hey, as long as it's a happy social life, right?
Oh, it is.
Any other hobbies or interests you want to talk about?
Not like pertaining to the game or
just anything in general. Yeah.
I think part of the reason why I do armor crafting in the game is because I do crafting kind of in real life stuff. I do leather crafts.
Are you one of the vendors?
I'm not one of the vendors, no. Eventually that would be kind of cool to do. I also do stained glass and just other various things. I do jewelry, and but as the years go by, I have like less and less space to actually work on stuff and do things, and so being able to make things for people in the game actually kind of helps satisfy, I guess, that part.
Okay. Well, do you want to grab a couple wild cards?
Uh-oh.
These have already been used. Well, this one actually was not used. We skipped that one. But yeah, feel free to grab one or two or three of those bad boys, and it could be anything. These are community submitted, so I don't know what it's going to be.
Oh. All right. Let's do this one. It says, name one thing you would add or remove to improve the game, and explain why. So, one of the things I've submitted a few times, and they have told me that it doesn't work across the board. So it's going to be a lot of rewrite on the back end to make it work. But I'm trying to get it to where they can, well, at least the quest anyway, to get it to where they can make all of the siegery pieces, which are it's like a game in the game. Mm-hmm. And so siegery, you have like 3 soldiers, like little figurines, and then you have a castle, and then you have some battle engines. So you have like a catapult, ballista, and then you each have a set of those, and then you just kind of fight back and forth with those, and whoever's keep falls first loses.
So like a strategy game element to it?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit, yeah. A little bit of that and a little bit of luck. So part of where the luck comes in is the siegery pieces right now, their statistics are all over the place because the different people worked on them, different kind of sets and stuff like that. So some people that have been playing the game for a very long time or have been gifted sets that have been used by others in the past, that the pieces have higher stats than like the newer players if you just were to buy a new set. And so it's been very hard because we don't have access to see those statistics for the pieces. So you can't say, oh, this one is good, would be good up against this one. So we can't exactly like bracket people together fairly based off of that. So someone might come in that's been playing forever and then just wipe out the entire competition because they have a really good set. And sometimes when that happens, though, the newer players trying to get into it get discouraged because they can never win a game. So it kind of makes things a little unbalanced and unfair in some cases. But without knowing how to actually view those statistics, there's really no way for us to kind of work with that balance.
Oh, makes sense. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't really have anything. Is there anything that on your list of stuff to talk about?
That's the full list.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Chyral.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'll be here probably for a little bit longer. So.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.